Hey guys, welcome to the Naughty Fisherman. Today I'm going to go over a video that was requested. It's the Arbor Knot. So what this knot is used for, it is used for attaching your main line to your reel. It's essentially a slip knot system. So when you tie it, it's going to have two knots in it. The first knot is essentially a slip knot system, which allows the secondary knot to lock it in. This will push your knot right up against your reel and allow you to attach the line to the reel. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so this is going to be the reel I'm using today. It's the Summer 2000 series from Casking. It's one of my largest reels that I own. I just like to use it for examples because it's easier to work with, a little more area to work with. Now, a few things you want to make sure you're doing when you're tying your line to your reel is you guys notice it has this little, what they call the bail arm, or the bail. Now, when you're tying a knot to your reel, this should never be down, ever. What happens is if this is down when you're tying your knot, it's going to tie the knot outside of the actual arm. So this right here is what's actually going to be where the line is actually going to go under. So the line will be attached to your reel, come up under this arm, and up right here. So if you tie it with this whole system down, it's going to come up over the arm, up over the bail, hit that arm, and just go right over it. And that's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is when you start trying to put it on your reel. You see how it's spinning? If it gets caught on this, it's just going to do this. It's just going to loop it around the outside of your reel. What that's essentially going to do is create a cage of line that you're going to have to cut off and waste a ton of line. So when you're tying your knot to your reel, always make sure you first start with this flipped open. What this does is, one, it allows you to get in a lot easier to tie the knot to the reel. And two, when you have it tied, all you're going to have to do is flip that, and it's going to be closed, which will make it a lot easier for you to spool this. Now, the other thing you want to make sure of is that when you start, it should be locked like this. So what I mean by locked is, if I close this, it's just going to spin freely, right? You guys can kind of see it. I'm not really touching the handle. It's just kind of moving by itself. Okay, that's going to make it really difficult to tie a knot. So what I do is I unlock this before I ever start tying. You guys kind of see how it's now locked in place. It's not moving. So if I were to turn this hard enough, it would automatically close that, which I don't want. But what this does is it allows me to put it down, and it gives me that open-faced reel with the bail arm up, and this won't move, and this won't move, which will make it a lot easier to tie the knot. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, I already have my bail arm open. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our fishing line right here. We're just going to come around the back of the reel, create a simple little loop right here. So we have our main line on the right and our tag end on the left. What we're going to do now is we're going to grab the end of that tag. We're going to come around behind the main line, up over the main line, and behind the tag end again. So what that will do, if I can get it to actually go, it's essentially going to create a little loop, a little tag end. So I don't know if you guys can kind of see that, but I've got a simple loop right there. I'm going to lubricate it. I'm going to pull that a little bit tight. Alright, so I have that tight enough to kind of form the knot right there. Now, what you're going to do, you're going to take your other part right here, tag end. You're just going to create a simple little loop right in here. If I can get, oh my god. Alright, so if it jumps off the reel, that's fine. Just go ahead and put it right back on. So you can see my knot's still in place. We're going to go ahead and grab that around. Like I said, guys, even I mess up, especially on video. You guys make me nervous. No, I'm kidding. All right, we're going to go ahead and lock that one in place. As you guys can see, it's just the tag. We're going to pull that tight. That's going to essentially become the secondary knot that's going to lock this in place. So now, I'm gonna lubricate that knot right there. We're just gonna go ahead and give that a quick tug to bring that down. You wanna keep that as narrow as you can as you're pulling it down, just because otherwise this will slip through. So go ahead and pull this down. And boom, there you go. I don't know if you guys saw that, but currently that knot is pressed tight against the reel. So what's gonna happen is that first knot is essentially gonna form a slip area. The second knot will create a lock, and then when you pull on your main line, it should just slide it right down against the main thing. And there you go. Then we're gonna go ahead and trim that tag end. And that is the arbor knot. Like I said, not overly difficult, it's just a little technical. But yeah, there you go. Alright guys, so before I go ahead and end this video, I'm just going to go ahead and show you what will happen when you close the bail arm if you've done this correctly. So, as you guys notice, I had it open. I have my knot tied on there. Cool. So what you do is you close that. Remember how I said you want to make sure this comes up under this part right here? So, that's going to come up under that. And we're going to go ahead. We're going to put our reel up here, or our line at least. Now, if you were on the lake fishing already, this would be attached to your rod, and you'd have a straight shot from your rod tip to the reel. I'm going to kind of simulate that real quick. Now, if you've done it correctly, that's what it's going to look like. So I've got tension here. So when you pull, it should rotate around just like that. You guys can kind of see I'm pulling this spool toward me. But that's what you want to see right there. Is you want to be up under this with the tension coming straight up toward the lake. All right, awesome job. All right, guys, so that is the arbor knot. As I mentioned before, it is a system of two knots. One is a slip knot, the other is a locking knot. As you pull them together, they do lock the entire thing in place, allowing you to pull it tight against your reel. Now, I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't go over the pros and cons with you guys, especially if you're just starting out and you want to look for the strongest knot possible. Now, pros. This knot is great for beginners to learn just because it allows you to get started, especially if you are brand new to spooling your own reels. It will allow you to get started quickly. It will hold. And in the unlikely event that you spool out on a lake, it'll keep your line attached. Now, cons. I personally am not wholly a fan of this knot, mainly because it does create a lot of spots for this line to break, or this knot to break. As you saw before, it does require two knots to actually form it. Seems a little bulky. If you do tie it slightly tighter than it's supposed to when you first start out, or you're not keeping track of it, it can create burnage, which will also create a massive breaking spot in case you do spool out. When I first started, I had problems because I would look down at my line and it either wouldn't be flush against the reel, or it would be flush against the reel and I would already notice it had some wavy spots in the line around the reel, which to me indicates breakage danger and burnage. Like I said, if you guys want to first get started, go ahead and learn this knot. It is useful. It will help you. As you get better, you may want to look into other knots as well, just that might have a higher breaking point and less moving parts for less burnage. Other than that, tight knots and tight lines, guys.